Hey, welcome to Optimize Your Body with Martin Silva, where we talk raw, uncut facts to truly help you optimize your body.
Okay, Drew, we're rolling now for the 20th time. It took us about an hour to get going. And yeah, well, hopefully we can get this podcast done within about half hour, yeah, because we always go well over. We talk way too much shit. So yeah, how you doing, mate? You good?
I'm good, mate. Yourself? I just want to congratulate you on your recent Instagram post. You really made it, and you got yourself on the shirtless dicks page. So congratulations on that one.
I know. I'm really happy with that, mate. Shirtless dicks. What a lovely page that was. You know, me half naked. One of my my kind of gay-looking photo shoots. I think I made it to the top now, mate, with the modelling stuff. I think I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. You know what I mean?
Why not? Yes, sir. How much do you get paid for that one, anyway?
Oh, mate, nothing. It's just free eye candy for people, mate. You know what it's like. Anyway, mate, moving on swiftly, right?
Let me ask you a question on that as well.
Go on then.
Let me ask you a question on that. How many DMs do you get from like those type of companies asking you to do kind of shirtless jobs or naked jobs? Because I've had a few lately as well.
Yeah, I don't get as many nowadays, mate, because I've changed my approach now. Obviously, probably about, 20% of my pictures are like shirtless ones now, whereas before it was 100% me, half naked. I used to get all sorts, mate. I've been offered to do porn heaps of times. You know, like the muscle worship stuff as well. Have you got any of those ones? Muscle, just for the listeners.
Yeah.
Muscle worship. I'm not sure if they know what it is.
I've had one of these. I literally had one a couple of days ago, mate. So.
Yeah. It's where guys obviously
good money though if you're into it, you know.
If you're homeless, yeah, it's great money, mate. But I mean, it's not something that I actually know loads of guys who do it, mate. Like loads of guys who used to do. Go on.
I think it's prevalent in the bodybuilding community, right? It is very prevalent in you know, because they got to pay for, if you're not a professional bodybuilder, you got to pay for your gear and things like that.
100%.
And it's very prevalent in that section of the community. But
100%. If you look at Kai, look at Kai Green.
I haven't done it myself yet, but
yeah. If you look at Kai Green, he done porno, didn't he? He done lots of porn and stuff, didn't he, before he made it? And you know, like obviously we get our money from PT and whatnot, yeah. But you can imagine, like I've known loads of fitness models who literally they do it on the side. You know what I mean? Like just for the listeners, I think they know what it is. But you know, like guys watching, you know, getting off on you sitting there pretty much half naked. Like I don't know, it doesn't float my boat, Drew. I don't know about you, but.
No, I'm good, man. I'll stick to my PT sessions, man. I'm more than happy doing that and building a good presence with that. So
exactly. So on that topic,
that's
mate,
not exactly the type of online presence I want to build.
No, exactly. That's it. I've gone down that rabbit hole before, mate. Which is why, you know, you're chasing likes on Instagram, mate. You know when it's like you're chasing likes. You post half naked photos, you get like 5-10 times the amount of likes. But nowadays, I'm just like, you know what? Like I've actually finally gotten away from that, you know, how many likes I get kind of thing, because like I'll post a picture of me and you've just done a podcast, probably get like 100 odd likes, post a half naked picture, you know, get close to 1,000 likes or whatever, and it's easy to chase that and get stuck in that. It's crazy how people like, you know, it's madness, isn't it, nowadays?
Have you lost any followers as well? Obviously, you're trying to provide more value now with your posts, and then you know there's less content of you standing there in your underwear. Like, do you find that you're losing followers through that, or is it pretty much the same? Has it stayed pretty linear and consistent, or no?
Oh no, I'm losing loads of followers. I could be up to more towards like 100,000 followers, I reckon now. Obviously, I'm like 52,000. I'm gaining a lot. I'm gaining loads of followers, and now I'm gaining. After it's taken me ages, like, you know, over the last few months. Since, you know, getting my name out there on podcasts and whatnot, and the Channel 9 thing I've done, I'm actually getting the right people following me now. People want to find out about fitness, and they're into the podcast and all that kind of stuff. But it's taken a while, man, and yeah, I'm losing so many followers that my following's staying around about this. Like, it is going up, but let's just say I'm gaining like an extra 20, 30 followers a week. You know, I could be gaining probably hundreds or thousands, you know what I mean, if I was just posting half naked. What was it called? Shirtless dick pics.
Yeah. it's definitely kind of that line, isn't it, between like you obviously providing value for clients and then getting a certain type of following anyway. But it's, you just got to stick with it. I think keep providing the value you are, and I'm sure you build from there. But for me, it's difficult as well because I'm trying to put like my new modeling pics out there and try and build my portfolio. Like you say, it is, you want that validation with different likes, right? And rather than me putting like a little bit of content of what you do need to do with your eating or nutrition or training, and then I get like say 30 to 40 likes as opposed to 200, 300 likes for a picture of me with my abs out. So
exactly, yeah, it's important for you to mix it up right now, isn't it? But anyway, mate, moving on. So how to discover your abs, right? I haven't even actually got a request from the audience, but I thought, it always gets loads of traction whenever we talk about abs. So, how to discover your abs and how to shift stubborn body fat as well. I think they both fall hand in hand. How many times do you check to see if your abs are still there on a daily basis nowadays, mate?
Not, to be honest, man, I'm a lot less than what I used to. Like it has changed massively for me when obviously you've seen me before, and I had that issue when I was pinching my lower ab quite often. I guess I was a bit of an OCD in terms of like my body fat levels, and I was always checking to see if I had low body fat percentage, which is a bit of an issue mentally. But now I generally just check them like when I go in the shower.
Yeah.
There's no like lifting my shirt up in front of a mirror. I know me and you used to do that in like elevators and things like that, and in the gym. It's very rare that I'll do that now. It's definitely, that switch has changed for me, like from obviously focusing mainly on aesthetics to health. I'm in a better place mentally, so there is less focus on me lifting my abs up and checking them in the mirror as I used to. How about yourself?
Yeah, same, mate. So, whenever I get up early hours in the morning for a pee or whatever, boom, straight to the mirror, check my abs. I would say I used to check, even up to about a year or two ago, I was checking them quite a lot. But I would say I used to check at my worst probably about literally, I don't know, I reckon we're both about the same here. It's got to be at least a few times an hour, right? So we're probably looking at about 20, 30 times a day minimum. We used to look in the mirror to see if our abs are still there, right? When we were driven, as you said, when we were driven by aesthetics and how we looked, right? But nowadays, as you said, it's just like, because we're tuned in with all the health side of it, I don't even look. Like I'll look a couple of times, and right now my abs have been better anyway because I'm bulking. So it's not something I'm looking at now. I'm looking at more, my weaker body parts, my legs and stuff. But yeah, I don't really, like you said, we don't really look at ourselves half as much now, which is a big change for us, mate. It's progress.
And how is that in terms of like, obviously mentally for you when you're bulking, like you're losing that, you're losing the shape of your abs a little bit, not too much from what I've seen in the pictures, obviously, but there is that shift you have to make in your mind that, hey, I'm trying to build muscle, I'm going to increase my calories, I may put on a little bit of body fat. How has that transition been for you lately? Because you stay relatively lean all year round, right?
Yeah, that's it, mate. And to be honest, I haven't put on that much body fat, but like, yeah, for sure, I put on a couple of percent of body fat. And it's not that noticeable, mate. It's like just when I've had like the other day, like at the end of the day, when I'd eaten loads of carbs, drank loads of water, and put away like over 4,000 calories, I looked and I thought, obviously I was, when it comes to putting a picture up on Instagram, like sometimes it'll still take me, like, I'm not gonna lie, like 30, 40 shots, maybe not that many, like 10 takes to get the right shot of my abs. And I'm just like, nowadays I just took one shot the other day, and mate, even now that's the first time I've done that in ages. I just took one shot and my abs look like probably the worst they've looked in ages, and I just thought, like, who cares, you know what I mean? Like, to most people you're in great shape, but it's just this stupid kind of like body image thing that guys have, and it's like, as you've said before, it's much more prevalent in guys now, right, Drew, than just women.
Yeah, man, I think with all the filters as well on like Instagram and stuff like that, is I've seen people who are fitness models and in that game, as you had before, and they're taking, like, as you said earlier, like 30, 40 shots, or they even like, they're filtering the shit out of their picture, so it's so unnatural and unrealistic for anyone else looking at it that it gets ridiculous. So for you to be real, like, and just post a picture of you not at, you're deeming it not at your best. Other people will say, wow, what a fantastic physique you have. So it's just getting over those kind of, I guess, psychological aspects yourself, and knowing that you're not peeled like you would be during a show, but you're just being more real. And I guess with that change of following that you have, trying to add more value, then people want to see the real you rather than you on stage where you're at your most peeled and most ripped. So props to you for that, mate.
Absolutely, you put that really well, mate. And just to talk a little bit now about the listeners now, and the bottom line is nowadays we have abs all year round. I think without trying to blow our own trumpets, I think we are in a position where we could talk about this now because we have abs, respectable abs all year round without actually thinking about it now, right? So it's just a side effect of health, nutrition, and keeping ourselves in check for the most part. But most people listening to this most likely haven't got abs, right? Or they can't fully see their abs, and they're trying to. I know for a fact, probably about at least 80-90% of people listening to this are probably thinking, right, how do I get my abs looking better, or how do I discover my abs, right? Now, I don't know about you, and I was going to ask you about childhood a little bit, but when I was a kid, I went through a phase when I was probably around about 11, 12, 13, where I had body fat on my stomach, and I had when I'd sit down, I remember when I used to sit down, I'd look and I'd be like, man, I got these big rolls. And I used to have a lot of puppy fat around my stomach. And remember my stepdad's mate used to torment me about it, which is quite bad really, looking back. But they don't think they meant anything by it. But maybe that stuck in my head, Maybe that's probably why a year or two later, come to think of it now, when you just realised that I was pumping iron so much, But, for a lot of the listeners, if they have stubborn body fat in these areas, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny enough for me, for you saying that now. I remember one of my best friends at the time, his brother actually said to me, I had a shirt on, which was, I think it was an Adidas shirt, I remember it now. And it had little holes in it. Mm-hmm. I remember him he kind of poked me in my stomach and he said is anyone in your family overweight, or your parents overweight, or something like that. And that was that realization that I needed to do something about it. So from that moment on, and I guess that's probably kind of stuck with me as I've grown older, insecurities. From that moment on, I remember I started training more. I was obviously playing sport, but started running more, swimming, anything I could do to just drop that body fat. And each evening I was doing a lot of sit-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, that type of stuff every evening before bed. And that kind of stuck in my mind that he said that. And even now, obviously certain things that happen when you're younger affect you when you're older. And looking back, you saying that now has kind of triggered what he said to me. And that's probably where I have certain issues insecurities and issues that I have with my body now. So it's interesting you say that, actually, mate.
Yeah, no, I just think we both just had a little bit of an epiphany there then, really, because that is going to be a massive driver. You know how fragile the human brain is, mate, especially a developing human brain, right? When you're a teenager, they are, we always talk about women, it is a lot more common in women, or it was more common in women, at least, to have eating disorders and whatnot, because they're always told they need to be skinny, even if it's not verbally. You look at you turn on the TV, you look at these advertising campaigns, you go online nowadays, and and I think it's changed a bit now because women are strong, lifting weights and stuff, but it was always a woman had to look skinny, right? So they were under that pressure. But it's no different to guys, I think if you get told certain things like you were just saying then about, your stomach and whatnot, it's obviously gonna do something. But let's just talk a little bit, just for the listeners, because I just remember how when I really think back now, I remember how frustrating it was. And I tried thinking yesterday, how would I feel now if I had excess fat around my stomach, and I was thinking, obviously, it wouldn't feel nice, right? I'd be trying to get rid of it, and I'd be constantly looking at it, right? So it's easy for us to say, we don't look at our abs anymore, but that's been a really long road to get there, right? And let's just talk about why we find it attractive as humans, right? It's for guys, for women to find guys attractive, it's the waist to shoulder ratio, right? Smaller waist, wide shoulders, and also glutes as well. A guy with good bum muscles and glutes. It's good signs of someone who would be able to support, from an evolutionary standpoint again, who would be strong and a good guy to obviously support and look after, his newborn and his partner or whatever. So that is why people find it attractive, and the same for guys to women. It's the waist to hip ratio. Women with a small waist and well-developed glutes, or childbearing hips, they like to call it. That's what guys find attractive, right? So there's an evolutionary reason why we find this attractive. It's not just social media, right?
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I've kind of got a quote in that. Obviously, we're talking about lowering body fat percentages, and we know that for the most part that will give you more prominent abdominals, right? For me, I was going through a phase where I didn't really train my abs, so like I was inherently lazy with them, and I would go for long periods without training them because I felt that I would brace them during the big lifts, like the compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, and my abs were exposed because of the leanness, so I kind of got away with it. But because of that, I've got like a poor connection with my abdominals. Like I've had lower back issues with my hips. So now I'm starting to make that a priority again, to train my abs and train them effectively, and train like my obliques so they become stronger stabilizing muscles for those big lifts. And I have got stronger from that, but it's been kind of a slow process getting back into it, going from being young and having that said to me and doing sit-ups every night to then thinking, well, I'm lean anyway, you can see my abs, I'm not going to train them. And it's been a big transition doing that, mate. So for you, are you training your abs regularly now, or would you say that training abs gives you abs? Because one of the biggest questions I'll get asked in the gym, or get approached, especially by women a lot, they'll say, can you give me some ab exercises? I want to flatten my belly, when we know as trainers that there's a bigger scope to it, and we need to make other habitual changes to lower our body fat levels to get the abs.
Absolutely. And no pun intended there, absolutely. You see what I did there? That was terrible, sorry. Let's move on, mate.
That was awful. Yes.
Anyway, come on, keep it together. Keep it together. No, honestly, I put a post obviously on my story the other day. I was talking about abs and peeling off the layers and stuff, and I got loads of traction. I put a blog up there, and I had loads of hits on it, and I thought, that just goes to show we need to do an episode on this. But yeah, great point again you touched upon there about peeling off the layers. When it comes to exposing your abs. And I get that. I don't get it as much nowadays, but yeah, it's still common for people to say, what's the best thing for me to do to get abs? And obviously a lot of the time people are carrying a little bit too much body fat.
It's a long-winded question.
Definitely, mate, definitely. And there's not many people walking around, for a woman, let's just say for argument's sake, generally from what I've seen, they have to be 20% maybe under to see abdominals, sometimes under 15%. And even lower, and there's not many women walking around with body fat that low. And the same goes for guys. Generally need to be in single figures, say 10% or under, to see really good defined abs. So, it is about actually peeling off the layers of body fat, which we'll come to a bit later. But very good point, because for me right now, I am really kind of neglecting abs. And I know how important it is. And what I have been doing is focusing a lot more, like you said, on obliques and the TVA. For the TVA, the transverse abdominis. For anyone listening, I actually heard this on the Mind Pump episode recently, and I thought, yeah, that's true. Imagine you're walking around on the beach, right, and you're trying to suck your stomach in. Because you imagine you see someone attractive on the beach, right? You try and suck your stomach in. It's naturally, right? Well, me and Andrew do that anyway, right, because of our body image issues, right? But that is the TVA. You're actually switching on the transverse abdominis, which are the internal core muscles, which are responsible for supporting your lower back and lots of different, twisting motions. But when you really suck that belly button in towards your spine, that's your TVA you're activating. And that's what I've been trying to work more of because, it's very important for life in general to keep that strong, but also for your lifts and functionality, right? So when you're doing squats, deadlifts, all those kind of movements, those internal muscles need to be activated. I'm doing more of that, but I'm kind of neglecting abs. I need to do more abs, and you know what it's like, and the way we train, kind of like abs and calves come at the end of the session, and it gets to that point, and I'm making excuses, I'm a bit tired, I've got to rush off, and I'm just rushing them. But I need, especially with the show in October, I need to put more time into them because it is important, right? And training the abs properly.
Definitely. Yeah, of course, mate. And like what you just said there about training the abs, like it's at the end of the session. I'm similar to that with like calf training. Like if I really focused on my calves, then yes, they probably would grow a little bit more, but I always leave them to the end of the session as well. So if abs are your main focus or calves are your main focus or whatever body part you want to kind of prioritize, maybe just put those at the beginning of your session, or maybe just after your initial compound lift. So you just put more work into them, and you have more energy at the beginning of the session. But like ultimately, when you obviously we're talking about getting your body fat levels down to make your abs show more, but you will make them more prominent if you train them correctly, right? So you were talking about transverse abdominis as different parts of the core we can work, like internal obliques and things like that. But just learn to articulate the core efficiently first. So it's kind of a small movement. I think I learned this from your previous guest, Sal, in terms of how you should efficiently work it. And it's about bringing your ribs down towards your pelvis, like a small crunching movement, and trying to disengage your hip flexors and your lower back when you're doing that. You see a lot of people who are doing planks like in a neutral back position, but a lot of times you're feeling that through your lower back a little bit more. So it is, when you're doing these type of movements, like you need to learn to engage efficiently, and with planks, you're trying to tuck your tailbone, avoid arching lower back, crunch the abs a little bit more. With certain exercises such as like hanging leg raises, again, you're looking to raise up, tuck your tailbone, bring the ribs towards the pelvis, rather than just focusing solely on working your hip flexors, which again can probably lead to other issues with like lower back and imbalances as well. So it's about effectively training them, and we will probably do more videos about this on our YouTube channel and on Instagram, so you have a better idea of how to do it efficiently.
Absolutely, and I wanted to say that as well. I wanted to say that with the core, it is the hardest muscle group to engage, to actually connect to the core muscles and the abs. You see, I can say like 90% of people, again, are not actually training them properly. 100%. It's so hard to actually fully contract and connect to the abdominals. Same goes for the back muscles. It's just very hard. So it's extremely challenging for us to actually convey what we're trying to say onto a podcast when it comes to actually training the abs. Now, I do have a lot of good abdominal videos on my YouTube, so go and check out my YouTube. But talking about Sal from Mind Pump, he's got an amazing video which actually went viral. I don't know if you've seen this one, teaching people how to disengage the hip flexors before actually training the abdominals. Yeah, great video. I tried it, definitely works. Luckily, my hip flexors nowadays, because I stretch them a lot and do the priming stuff, again, a shameless mind pump plug. Some of the priming movements they taught us to lengthen out those tight muscles. Luckily, my hip flexors don't actually get involved too much. But for the average person, the video Sal put on there, where he's like lying down on the floor, he's got his feet up on the bench. I won't talk too much about it, but you should definitely go and check that out, folks, because a lot of people, especially with stuff like hanging leg raises, anything which involves leg raises, which are actually really, really effective for the abs, but you're not going to get that maximum. You're not going to get the maximum results with the core if the hip flexors are compensating. So that's a big thing there, and I think like weighted abdominal exercise as well, and
that's it.
Yeah, but I think like a lot of people, I don't think weighted people listening to this, I don't think that should be the top of the list for them. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, even for myself, coming back into training abs more regularly, man, I don't really need to add any weight. Like especially when doing your hanging leg raises and things like that. If you're, obviously your legs my legs are fairly heavy, so that's weighted enough for me to raise them up. And like if you're doing that, if we just talked about then that we're connecting to the abs like correctly. Like if you're doing them correctly, it's going to be very difficult for you to go into high reps with your abdominal exercises anyway. So if you're performing abs efficiently, correctly, you're doing like hanging leg raises, Roman chair kind of sit-ups and things like that, and you're connecting to those abs, you're doing 10 to 15 to 20 plus reps is extremely difficult. Like and again, focus on like strength training and build abs like you would any other muscle.
Absolutely. I just had a thought.
Like, I got a question for you, mate. Obviously you're talking about the.
No, go on.
Right, go on.
No. Carry on, mate. Carry on.
You go.
So all I was going to say, keep that question.
Hold that forward, though.
This Skype is tough, isn't it, because of the delay. No, you go on. You go and say what you were going to say. Go on.
Yeah. I just want to know obviously you're talking about like attractive physiques and things like that. For me, like a thicker waist is a sign of strength, right? In terms of like if you look at kind of old statues, like a thick, strong waist with good obliques is a sign of strength. But in your realm, especially the beginning of your career as a physique model, you were in a different class where you were in a board short class. And there were a lot of guys with like tiny, and you have a small waist, but a lot of these guys had tiny waists and a massive V taper. And you see a lot of them on Instagram. They're kind of promoting like these squeams and things like that. Like, what's your thoughts on that type of stuff for like core and minimizing the size of your waist? Like, have you got any feedback on that, like using squeams?
Yeah, by squeam, do you mean like the waist belts? Or I don't think I've heard that term before, to be honest. Squeam?
Yeah.
The waist belts.
So like there's like a thing that women often use and men use it as well to put around their waist to technically give them a slimmer waist.
Yeah. Those like mate, I went through. I'm not gonna lie, I fell into.
I'm not sure if you've seen them. So
yeah, I fell into the trap of actually.
You did?
Yeah, I go on myself, mate, for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'd done some research and thought, it was a waste of money.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Yeah, mate. Yeah. I fell into the trap because obviously doing men's physique. You know what I mean? You want every little edge you can get. But just for the listeners, right, because there's still a lot of myths out there, and I'm sure some of them will still be seeing, especially women, female Insta-famous people, posting how squats, deadlifts, weighted abdominal exercises, how they thicken your waist, right? Now, what I would like to say is, like, firstly, if you were to build muscle on your core muscles by using weight, or if you're doing heavy squats and deadlifts, and as you said, if you technically build a thicker waist, right? How much muscle are you really going to gain around your waist, right, for a start? Like, if you were to gain, like, a few millimeters or centimeters around your waist, that would be a job. Good luck with that, right? And even, and do you know what? If you do, what'll happen then is something I wanted to come to anyway, is the illusion with aesthetics, right? So when you actually, firstly, when you build muscle and you develop your abs, it's no different to any other muscle group, right? It's going to become more visible. They're going to look better, right? Because they're going to be more detailed. And your waist is actually going to look smaller because you've got more prominent abs. So even if you were to build, like, it's unlikely you're going to build much around your waist anyway, right? But even if you were, you're still going to look much, much better. So ignore all that bullshit, right? All that BS. And that is another thing I'd like to say as well, is when it comes to the waist, and if you know, firstly, obviously, as we've talked about before, when it comes to peeling off the layers, you need to focus on calorie control, you know, and actually losing body fat, right? So one way or another, you can create a calorie deficit by moving more. We won't go too much into this, but, you know, if you're listening to this now and you're not really well versed when it comes to controlling calories and nutrition, just get off your ass and walk more, increase your daily steps, get yourself a Fitbit, try and hit at least 10,000 steps a day. That's going to help you, you know, feel better and potentially lose body fat. So to actually lose body fat, you need to create a calorie deficit one way or another. And you can also do that from tracking your calories and whatnot. But that's where me and Andrew come in handy, because obviously we've opened up a few slots for online coaching, and obviously that's what we're going to be doing, because whenever we do help people online, it's primarily with nutrition. So that's where people really need help with. So that is what is going to really be the main big rock for you, is dialing that in to actually make your abs visible. But all this stuff we're talking about now is also very important. So I was just saying about the illusion. When you build, you know this, and right? When you build wide, like I haven't got a very small waist, right? In comparison to some of those physique athletes. Like even on stage, like right now my waist is like 34 inches. When I'm on stage, my waist comes down to about 31 and a half. Whereas some of those guys have got like a female's waist, basically. It's like a 26-inch waist. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It actually looks pretty freaky, right? So, obviously...
That's genetics again, right?
Genetics as well, yeah. But when you build wider shoulders, and for a woman can build wider shoulders as well to make their waist look smaller. Obviously, for the glutes. When they build their glutes, and, you know, especially the side glutes as well, the glute medius and around that area on the sides of the hips, it's going to give the illusion that your waist is smaller. And obviously a lot of these bikini girl athletes have boob jobs, yeah? Most of them do have, boob jobs, which again give the illusion that your waist is smaller. So it's creating the illusion as well, right? So, you know, with me, luckily my upper body responds quite fast. So when I've really focused on building my deltoids and my shoulders and adding width, lats, it gave the illusion that my waist is a lot smaller than what it is. So...
Nice, man. That's it. And again, like obviously you're discussing waist and stuff like that there. If you have like good looking obliques, then it's going to give that illusion that you have a smaller waist. Plus you're going to look a lot stronger. And just taking back to like squeams and belts and things like that. I've seen people on a video earlier doing like everything with a belt on, and I understand like if you're a powerlifter and you need it for competition, you want to lift heavy, but other than that, it's taken away from you actually engaging like your abdominals and your core. So try not to use that too often, especially if you're looking to build a nice strong core. Exercises, as we said, if you want more prominent abs, like exercises I would say to do would be like a simple reverse crunch. On a bench, just tucking your tailbone under. As we said earlier, hanging leg raises done correctly for obliques, strong obliques, and to help with stabilizing muscles for some of your bigger compound lifts. I'd probably go for like some chopping movements, like half kneeling chop, side chops, maybe some carries, things like that. But again, just focusing on doing them correctly, deactivating your hip flexors and your lower back, and stabilizing yourself efficiently. That's it.
Absolutely. And I think what I was going to say earlier was I'll put a short video up actually on YouTube. I'll just keep it simple and use some. Oh, there we are. You're back. Anyway, I was just saying it kind of cut a little bit there, so sorry about that to the listeners.
Okay.
I was just saying a lot of the stuff we've created for the website. We've created a whole massive exercise library for people to access once it's live, which hopefully should be next month. I'll just put a few of our favorite ab exercises that we've done tutorials on, short videos, 30 seconds each really, put them together onto a YouTube video. So yeah, for the listeners, I forgot to mention that as well. We actually have started recording the videos of these interviews as well, which are going to be posted on YouTube. So go and subscribe to my channel. I'm most likely going to change this channel to Optimize Your Body, but for now it's Martin Silva Fitness. Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel because there's lots of great content on there for the abs and all sorts. And yes, obviously this podcast interview is going to be on there as well. So if you want to see a pair of chumps talking shit, then crack on. But yeah, so that's that really. And I've kind of lost track of what I was saying.
So obviously we're talking about dropping body fat and having your abs looking more prominent. So like how would you get rid of, I guess, the stubborn body fat is what you were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, right, Mark?
Yep.
So ultimately, are we talking about like preparing for a show or shoot, or we're just talking about vacation?
Just for the average person, yeah, just for the average person, vacation and whatever.
Right. So it depends really how lean you want to get, right? I think that, and you're going to ask yourself, question yourself why you want to do it as well. Like if you're looking to try and get into single digit body fats, then it can be like, it can require a lot of dedication and a lot of sacrifice. So depending on how lean you want to get, it's, for me, it's like if you're going on vacation, just like you said there, like I believe that like time is probably of the utmost importance anyway. Like, as I told you, I think you may have a wedding to go to in Turkey before a show that you do in October, right? So
no, I'm not doing that now because we're doing the stag do, right? So I'm not doing that. But
right.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to be lean. I want to be lean to stand next to you, Andrew, in Malta.
I'm started cutting already for that because my insecurities. No, I'm just kidding. You want to get ready as early as possible. So if you do have, like, we got a stag do coming up, like, if possible, try and get as lean as you can with a few weeks to spare. So it allows you more time then to make adjustments easily rather than rushing towards the end and throwing everything in your basket. If you get ready a week before, then you're not going to sacrifice a high percentage trying to get 5% better in terms of your physique, right? So if you're, what would you say on it, Marty?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. like, when it comes to getting, if you're listening to this and you want to get down to super low body fat figures and you want to be shredded, which I'm sure a lot of the guys listening do want that based on the messages I've had. So, you got to ask yourself, firstly, like Andrew said, why you want to do it, right? Because, like, it sounds a bit woo-woo, right? But I can guarantee you when you get there, if you were to get into single-digit body fat figures, which is bloody low, by the way, you're going to look pretty shredded if you're under 10% most of the time. what's going to happen then is you're going to be looking at the next thing. Then, how can I make this part bigger, or how can I do this? How can I do that? It's kind of a never-ending road. But what I was going to say to that is, you've got to really check yourself in terms of like, you need to focus on the other stuff. Really, you've got to take your focus away. I know it's hard to say, but you really have got to try your best to switch your focus. You're still going to be looking if you're looking to develop abs and you want to see you want to make the waistline smaller or whatever your goals are. You're always going to be looking for it. That's natural. But when you start really putting your energy into focusing on your performance in the gym and like building your strength, connecting to your core muscles in the gym, and really focusing on connecting to each body part really, and focusing on your energy levels and like just drinking enough water and just being more aware of everything related to health, because that's how Andrew and I have got to where we are now in terms of our physique and our wellness, is just from really switching our attention. And I'm going to shout them out again, Mind Pump, because they were the game changers for us. Mind Pump Media podcast completely helped us. Although it's a lot of the stuff they talk about, as we've said, we already kind of knew a lot of it. They were just bringing it to light and giving us more detail on their story and stuff, and we can relate to a lot of their struggles as well. Because from what I've seen, people who get to the level we're at, and a lot of these people online who are actually killing it, people who are like Mind Pump, who are genuinely fit, healthy people with well-balanced lifestyles, and they also look great as a side effect. They've normally gone through some sort of struggle with food, body image, and that's guys as well, guys and women across the board. So
that's it, man. And just do realize that as you get leaner, you are going to have to be like a little bit more disciplined and more diligent with, like, I guess I would personally track my calories if I'm looking to get as shredded as possible. Like, to do it without tracking is going to be very difficult. So there's definitely going to be less room for error with that. Like, now, when I'm not preparing for anything, I will allow certain things in my diet that I wouldn't necessarily allow when I'm trying to get a bit leaner, like maybe having a little bit of extra peanut butter without tracking, or extra calories here and there without tracking. So when you're dialed in, you are going to have to be on top of your game, really. And then when you get down to those low digits, you'll start to notice every little change in your body, right? And you will start to realize that with every little mistake you make, you might look slightly different.
There we go.
You have to take that into account, right? And
absolutely,
you can't really get away with what you normally would get away with, depending on how you want to look. Like, you can quite easily achieve like a great. What are you now, Martin? What would you say you are in terms of body fat?
Body fat. Oh, look, if I, it depends. If I do it on the DEXA scanner, so proper, which a lot of people say they're lower than they are, right? Because they use the calipers and whatnot. But if I use a DEXA scanner now, then I probably would be, I'm guessing, probably around about 12-13% on the DEXA scanner. But if I was to do the skin fold, you know what I mean? Like, if I was to pinch my skin, I'd probably be down at about 7 or 8%. So it's, yeah.
So like at that, you're allowing yourself more calories at the moment, plus you're doing less activity, right? And so you're still looking a lot better than a lot of people might going on vacation. So it depends how far you want to push yourself. Like, if you want to keep yourself around 10 to 12% body fat, then it's going to be a lot easier than it would be getting under 10 and dialing yourself into those low figures like 6 or 5. So just have check yourself on that one and see how far you want to take it. Ultimately, you can start decreasing your calories and things like that by switching food choices and not necessarily tracking. Like I said, if you are looking to get really dialed in, then it's probably important to weigh and measure your food to get yourself down to those lower figures.
Definitely, and that's a great way to end it, I think, there, mate. And I'm running out of time anyway. But
really, I got lots more to say on this, but we're good.
yeah, that's plenty, mate. And I just wanted to wrap it up with, when it comes to people listening now, I can imagine like people are like, okay, I'll start tracking, but then what? You know what I mean? Like, people who are starting from scratch and they haven't got that guidance, yes, they can start tracking, and it does make them more aware, and it's a great tool. But you need to be consistent with it, because a lot of people kind of lose interest after a few days. They've tracked and they've gone over on a weekend, which is what most of us do, including us and Andrew, on calories. You eat a bit too much, then you get disheartened, and you don't track, and then you just lose interest. But give us a shout, because we'll help you. That's what we're here for. We're looking to to push more into the online space, coaching space again now. So, you know, we'll be pretty meticulous with it, because there's a lot to learn in terms of like what I will be doing. Like in the past, I'm not going to lie, when it comes to doing online coaching, I wasn't as educated, and I like now I will be getting people to weigh every day to start off with. I don't know about you, Anne, but just because the fluctuations in weight with sodium, carbohydrates, how much water you drank. You know, you could drink an extra 2 pints of water in a day, and you could jump on the scales the next day and be half a kilo to a kilo heavier. You know, so tracking your water as well is very important. So, you know, it's not hard, but it is simple. However, a lot of people will benefit from our guidance, I think.
Yeah, and I think, again, like coming back to that fact, like weight loss doesn't necessarily correlate with fat loss. Like anyone can lose weight. You can go in the sauna, lose some pounds. You can take diuretics, lose some pounds. You could starve yourself, lose some pounds, but that doesn't mean you're losing body fat. And unfortunately, in this business, like people are so desperate to lose weight that they will go to any measures to do that. And there's even people listening to what I just pointed out there and said, "Oh, diuretics will help me lose weight. Well, I'll start taking them now." No, it does not correlate to fat loss. Like, take your time over it, start early, and then you will drop body fat by reducing certain factors such as calorie control, increasing your movement, adding in certain changes when you're looking to get leaner. I think like the mistake people make, especially when they are looking to go away on vacation, they throw all their eggs in one basket too soon. They start initially by doing a shit ton of cardio, right? They train 5-6 days a week, and they lower their calories to the bare minimum. And then when they hit a plateau, they have no tools to use. So if you do it nice and slowly, then when you do hit a plateau, you can maybe add in some extra steps that may put you in more of a deficit, or you can lower your calories from maybe fats and carbs. That will then give you that extra edge, or that extra decrease in body fat percentage. Maybe in the last few weeks, if you're not quite there, you can then add in like high intensity interval training when your steps are already too high and unachievable. So hold back initially, and then start adding in these tools when you hit a plateau, and then that's going to help you achieve those goals much easier.
Absolutely, yeah. And I just wanted to say, like, I'm not genuinely, we're not here to try and sell you stuff. I'm
Hello?
just saying that is, what we're looking to do is to help people online now, right? So it's just an option for you. If you wanted to reach out and inquire about it, that's fine. But look, we're here to give you free content, right? So we're going to keep pumping out these podcasts. We're looking to get more video content. So just stay with us and just try and apply some of the stuff we're telling you. You know, we really do want to help people. We're here to help. You know, we're not here, we're not making any money off these podcasts. We just enjoy having a chat and getting the right message out there to you guys. And as I was saying about weighing every day and stuff like that. What? Go on. Mate, I'm literally running out of time now. You have to make it quick. I've got like 30
We're just
minutes
making money off underwear changes.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Dick pics.
We're just making money out of underwear changes online instead. So
that's it, exactly. But yeah,
so we can give you free content. We're taking one for the team.
Muscle worship, and but yeah, by the way, in every day as well. Don't try that at home, right? I was just saying that's an extreme version of like what I would do with a client. I wouldn't do it with every client, obviously, because especially women, some women get screws their head up when they're weighing themselves, even once a week, let alone once a day. But in terms of you losing body fat, the weights does give us a direct indication as to whether or not you're in a calorie deficit. So it is important. But as Andrew was saying then, it's not something you really want to focus on. If you want to make those first steps, start tracking your calories. And that's the first step, simple as that. And and movement, like those two things are game changers anyway. So just keep it simple. And we're gonna have to wrap it up there, mate. So I got a client in 13 minutes time. But thanks, mate. That was awesome information there.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right, mate. No, it was great.
No worries, mate.
Cheers, brother.
We can probably talk about that once again.
All good, bro. Cheers, man. Speak to you in a bit.
All right, thank you, mate.
All right, mate.
Bye-bye.